Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into a deal that is far more than just a simple acquisition.
It really is.
This feels like a foundational event, one that's sort of dictating the future roadmap for all of AI-augmented software development.
That's the critical takeaway. We're looking at the consolidation of the development workflow itself.
Right, and the market is finally realizing that speed is useless without trust.
Exactly. So the core event here is the acquisition of Graphite. They're a leading platform in AI-first code review.
And they've been acquired by AnySphere Inc., the company behind Cursor.
The very same. Now, the specific financial terms, they weren't disclosed, but the strategic signal is deafening. The gold rush phase of just generating code, that's officially over.
So this market is maturing fast.
Incredibly fast. It's moving toward these full-stack, vertically integrated solutions.
And when you look at AnySphere, I mean, the sheer speed of their ascent is the first thing that just jumps out at you.
Oh, absolutely.
This company was founded by 4 MIT students just a few years back in 2022. And yet, by late 2025, they had already crossed $1 billion in annual recurring revenue.
$1 billion. The velocity they achieved is, frankly, historic. I mean, just consider the funding timeline. They got an $8 million seed round in late 2023.
It's just $8 million to start.
And by November 2024, they were already valued at $2.5 billion. Then, just 6 months later, June 2025, that valuation quadruples to almost $10 billion.
And then the crescendo, right? November 2025, they closed this gigantic $2.3 billion Series D.
At a staggering $29.3 billion post-money valuation. It's mind-boggling.
Right.
And you have to look at who was in that funding round. It wasn't just raw cash, it was strategic validation.
It was leading.
Co-led by major players, Excel, Coatue Management. But the key part was the strategic participation from Google and Nvidia.
So the guy selling the chips.
Exactly. The core AI infrastructure providers, the companies selling the compute, are putting billions into the company, selling the productivity that comes from it. That tells you everything.
They see AnySphere's approach as the future standard.
No question.
It's dizzying how fast these numbers move.
Yeah.
But let's pause on the target here. If AnySphere is already worth nearly $30 billion, why acquire Graphite? What's the unique piece they offer?
It's a great question. Cursor, their main product, is a fork of Visual Studio Code. It integrates models from, Anthropic and OpenAI, and it's known for raw code generation speed.
That's the vibe coding app the media was talking about.
That's the one. You get in a flow state, the AI helps you generate massive chunks of code really fast, but that's the front end.
The generation piece.
Exactly. Graphite specializes in the really high-stakes, time-consuming back-end, code review, merging, collaboration.
The quality control part.
The part that enterprises actually care about. They've built deep trust there with hundreds of thousands of engineers at places like Shopify, Snowflake, Robinhood, all using their platform.
So AnySphere gets credibility and immediate enterprise penetration.
Instantly. Cursor brought the engine. Graphite brings the enterprise-grade quality control and the customer list to match.
So what's the plan for Graphite's platform? Are they just going to gut it and absorb the features into Cursor?
No, not immediately. The initial plan suggests Graphite will maintain independent operations. They value the brand, but the intent is clear. Tight integration.
To what end?
They want to merge the local development workflow in Cursor with the pull request and review workflow in Graphite. The goal is to just collapse the distance between writing the code and getting it approved.
That makes a ton of sense. But, before we get to the why of this deal, let's talk about AnySphere's trajectory. That revenue growth was breathtaking, but growth that fast is never smooth.
It wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. The sheer speed of scaling an AI-first company exposed some significant operational risks, especially around user trust.
Right. Give us the highlights, or I guess the lowlights.
Well, there was that famous incident in April 2025. They were relying on their internal AI help desk agent. They called it Sam.
I remember this.
So Sam, in a moment of, let's call it utter confidence, just invented a non-existent login policy and started telling users it was real.
Oh, no.
It triggered cancellations, confusion, and the human staff had to jump in with apologies and refunds. Nothing kills trust faster than an AI making up rules.
Especially rules about getting access to your critical tools.
Precisely. And then came the pricing mess in July 2025. They switched their pro plan from a fixed cap to a usage-metered model.
And users got hit with surprise bills.
Huge, unexpected charges. The uproar was immediate. They had to roll it back, issue more refunds, and they learned a hard lesson. The cost of generative AI is volatile. It's hard for people to budget for.
So those hiccups are valuable lessons.
Yeah.
But let's get to the strategic why. Why did any sphere need graphite now? This is the core of our deep dive.
It happened now because generative AI has fundamentally shifted the bottleneck in software development. It used to be the actual writing of the code.
The human cognitive load, that's always been the slow part.
Always. But now studies are showing these tools let developers write code roughly 50% faster. This explosion of code generation has, well, it's eliminated the writing bottleneck.
And you're talking about new methods here, like chat-oriented programming, vibe coding.
Right. And for anyone listening who isn't deep in the coding trenches, let's break that down. Vibe coding is when the AI editor is just constantly completing complex code for you, keeping you in that flow state.
And chat-oriented programming, or CHOP.
That's where you're not writing code so much as having a conversation with the AI about the code. You describe the logic, and the AI produces the files. It's like having a super-powered co-pilot.
And the next step is agentic programming.
The next logical step. You give the AI a high-level goal, like integrate the new Stripe API, and the AI agent breaks it down, manages the files, maybe even writes the tests.
So that's generating a massive amount of output, which means the productivity bottleneck has to have just shifted downstream.
Precisely. The slow parts are now code review, testing, and merging. If your devs are suddenly creating pull requests with thousands of lines of AI-generated code, a human reviewer just can't keep up.
So the acquisition of Graphite is all about automating that quality control to keep pace.
It is. The strategic goal is to build an end-to-end toolchain, one that not only generates code, but also reviews and merges it, paving the way for what they're calling self-driving pull requests.
A pull request that gets automatically reviewed and merged by AI agents without a human even touching it.
If it's compliant and error-free, yes, that's the dream.
But wait, if they needed better review, why spend billions? Why not just build that feature into Cursor? They have the money.
That's a fair challenge, and it gets to the core investment thesis. Building it would take years to match Graphite's rigor and, more importantly, their enterprise adoption. This deal isn't about adding a feature.
It's about owning the whole workflow.
It's about vertically integrating the entire developer experience and building a huge competitive moat against rivals like GitHub Copilot. They're saying, we're not just a speed tool. We are the solution for verified integrated speed.
This signals really aggressive consolidation then. Pure-play code generation companies must be looking pretty vulnerable right now.
Incredibly vulnerable. The market doesn't reward raw generation speed alone anymore. It rewards verifiability, security, and context management.
So what about the developers themselves? If AI is writing and merging the code, what does their job even look like?
The role shifts dramatically. It moves from, handcrafting every line of code to curation, oversight, what we're calling AI orchestration.
The developer becomes the supervisor.
Exactly. You treat the AI like a very fast, very eager junior developer. It's capable, but it needs human sign-off before anything goes live.
And the skills for that must be changing too. We're moving past just writing a perfect prompt.
Oh, absolutely. Static prompting, that idea of a magic incantation, is becoming obsolete for complex tasks. We're moving toward dynamic prompting.
And how is that different in practice?
It's an adaptive, multi-turn conversation. Imagine you tell the AI to build a checkout flow. It starts, hits an error. Instead of you fixing it, the AI dynamically adjusts its own next prompt. It might say, I see you're missing library X. Should I add that dependency?
So it's self-correcting based on real-time feedback.
Exactly. But for that to work, the AI needs access to the entire project context codebase, logs, docs. And that brings us to the future tooling.
Agent clusters and the model context protocol. Let's start with the clusters.
Agent clusters are the organizational structure. You're basically mimicking a human software team with AI. You have a planner agent, a solver agent, a tester agent, and now a reviewer agent using Graphite's tech. They collaborate on a complex goal.
But the biggest hurdle has always been context. You can't just stuff a million-line code base into an LLM's context window.
That is the exact problem the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is designed to solve. Think of it as an open standard, like a USB-C for AI context.
A standard way for agents to access information.
Securely and dynamically. So the AI agent doesn't get the whole library. It gets just the 3 relevant functions it needs to fix the bug it's working on. It makes the AI's response so much better and, crucially, more secure.
It builds accountability into the architecture.
Yes, which directly addresses the biggest investor concern, data governance and protecting customer IP.
Okay, so we have this massive productivity gain, but what's the financial flip side? all these AI models must be incredibly expensive to run.
The irony is profound. AI makes developers 50% faster, but it's creating a massive computational drain. Surveys show corporate compute budgets are up almost 90% from 2023 to 2025.
So you trade salary expenses for GPU expenses.
It's a budget reallocation, pure and simple. And that reallocation has to include security and compliance tools. When an AI is generating your code, you need specific tools that can audit and tag that code. It's a necessary expense now.
This whole narrative, the consolidation, the tooling, the budget pressures, it all leads to the big question.
Yeah.
Where is the money moving next?
It tells us the future value is in trust and context management, not just raw generation. Which brings us to our This Is Not Financial Advices segment.
Always necessary, always fun. Let's hear your outrageous but plausible trade idea.
My pitch is a focused pair trade, built around the new reality that Cursor and Graphite are creating.
All right, lay out the short position for us.
Short the smaller, non-integrated, pure-play AI code-gen sauce companies, the ones whose whole value prop is just raw speed.
Why them?
Because fragmentation is now a liability. The market wants comprehensive enterprise-grade solutions. These isolated tools are going to become commoditized features.
Okay, so you short the speedsters who lack enterprise integration. Where do you go long?
You go long on the specialized AI-adjacent infrastructure companies, the ones enabling accountability and context. We're talking about providers of advanced vector databases, specialized compliance scanners, the companies building the plumbing for things like the Model Context Protocol.
The infrastructure that makes the trust possible.
That's it, exactly. As these integrated workflows become the standard, the tools that ensure security and provide perfect context become the next non-negotiable enterprise expense. The value shifts from the engine to the verification framework.
That's a very clean thesis. The generation piece gets commoditized, but the verifiable trust layer becomes the high-margin defensive moat.
Absolutely. The scarcity has shifted from code writers to code verifiers.
So what's the ultimate takeaway for everyone listening?
This acquisition is all about vertical integration. It's defining the end-to-end workflow for the AI-augmented developer. The key takeaway for investors, for operators, is that while AI accelerates everything, accountability, trust, and managing those spiraling compute costs, those remain the biggest challenges.
That's a great summary. And here's a final thought for you to mull over. Cursor and Graphite focused on fixing the code review bottleneck, right? The most human-intensive part of software development. So as you look across your own field finance, marketing, legal, whatever it is, ask yourself, what is our most human-intensive, latency-filled process? Because that's where the next wave of AI consolidation is going to strike.
And an excellent framework for predicting the next big M&A wave.
And remember, nothing we discuss here constitutes financial advice. This deep dive is purely for educational and entertainment purposes. Please always conduct your own due diligence before making any investment decisions.